Well, thanks for inviting me today. I'll be honest, I didn't know what to expect when I was invited as to the kind of activities we'll be doing today. But I've been very impressed and very heartened by many of the things that I've heard. But I've asked to be provocative, so I hope you've only been provided with notional eggs and rotten tomatoes. Here goes. I'm very pleased to hear about the kinds of activities that are being carried out by organisations like TEEB. And Natural Capital Initiative serves to bring that kind of research, and the research people, myself and others, into the public debate, particularly engaging government, NGOs, people like yourselves, science, policy and implementation of the ecosystems approach. And I have to say, I think we ought to recognise in the room the astounding trailblazing that DEFRA has done by adopting the ecosystems approach. And so I'd be cautious in this sort of the government and everyone else divide. I think that DEFRA has done a tremendous job from what I've seen. We have to go further, and we have to go further than simply engaging with the groups that we've always engaged with, and I think we have to go further than engaging those groups with those groups of organisms that we've always been engaged with. Now, I can say this as a soil microbiologist. It's very difficult as a soil microbiologist to compete with the kind of tension that the charismatic macrofauna gets in the media. In a handful of soil, there's more diversity than you'll find in the entire above-ground part of the Amazon rainforest. There are millions of species. There are trillions of individuals. In a grassland, below the surface, there's a stocking density of the equivalent of 2,000 sheep per hectare. Below the ground, alive, and it's even greater in forests. And here's a good one for quizzes. What's the largest organism in the world? See, it's an informed audience. I normally get blue whales. Of course it's a fungus. Recently, a fungus has been measured from germinating from a single spore in Michigan, covering 87 square kilometres. It's called the humongous fungus. So the first acronym I'd like to get out is ITSS. ITSS, it's the soil stupid. Okay. The second provocation, it's for the people out there who are communicators in the media. We often see very complex messages, very diligent work over loads of years, producing complex understanding, reduced to messages that are so simple that they actually lose the meaning of the complexity behind them. Now, there's lots of work that's been done in the media to show, and I think of the outstanding work of the Natural History Unit, for example, of trying to bring those complex messages. But I have seen recently an example where native butterfly, extinct butterfly, reintroduced to Britain. Well, if it's extinct, you're not reintroducing it anywhere. So an example of trying to keep scientifically rigorous, as difficult as that can be, because a lot of things hinge on this. I'd also set a challenge that you've got to be engaging in partnerships and educating planners in the planning regime. Because I think here is the critical point at which, thank you, we are going to need to bring valuation. And when we talk about valuation, it's not just monetisation, because pure monetisation leads to notions of perfect substitutability, which we know is a nonsense for certain sorts of biodiversity. And we have to understand that some of those very basic ecosystem functions may actually be delivered by just a few species in particular situations. So we have to be valuing species, and there are all sorts of ethical and aesthetic reasons why we should be, and moral reasons why we should be valuing species anyway. But I would say engaging with the planning regime and with planners is absolutely central, and I'd like you to think about how you're going to do that. And I don't simply mean in terms of direct action. I think that more subtle interactions are going to lead to greater outcomes for us. And lastly, I'd just like to say we need to go beyond GDP, as you've said. If I go home and find my house has been burgled, and it's going to cost 3,000 in insurance, our GDP goes up, I'm no happier. We need to be looking at some kind of happiness index. And we need to look at the way in which we can use restoration of ecosystems going beyond traditional concepts of conservation. I just want to finish with people ask me, are you an optimist? Well, I'm a West Ham supporter. I have to be an optimist. And particularly since I heard the tale of the pessimist who drowned in a half-empty swimming pool. So, thank you. So that's really all I've got to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you.